Boo, everybody, and welcome back to the HabWrap. I'm your host, Harry Rice. You're listening to the friendliest and funniest source for anything and everything Montreal Canadiens, and a rare occurrence has happened in the NHL, where the Montreal Canadiens come back in the final 5 minutes against the Ottawa Senators and win the game in overtime. Wait, you're saying that's not rare, Harry? Oh yeah, I guess it isn't, because 2013, the Montreal Canadiens, shout out Francis Bouillon, just an absolute insane game tonight. So we're going to talk about the game, obviously. Marty St. Louis got lucky tonight. Marty St. Louis got lucky. I was 8 minutes away from launching into a tirade about how he doesn't adapt to teams, about how he doesn't he doesn't know how to coach a winning team. He merely knows how to coach young players. And he saved me from that tonight. Well, the team did, I should say. The team bailed him out of that. Because an incredible game was played tonight. Not a good game, don't get that wrong, but an incredible game. Obviously, we are going to talk about that. Yeah, I apologize in advance. This thing's probably going up about like 1:30, which I know is technically the usual time I post these, but I apologize. That's probably going up slightly later than usual. SNL is on at 11:30, and as usual, I'm going to be watching it, so apologies right away. Now, let's get into the opening lines for the Canadiens, the Senators. Let's get into the notes, because, oh boy, we've got some stuff to talk about. So the opening lines for the Canadiens were Caufield, Suzuki, Texier, Slavkovsky, Kapanen, Davidoff, Anderson, Danault, Gallagher, and Bolduc, Evans, Veleno. That's right, Jake Evans makes his triumphant return to the Montreal Canadiens tonight. He is finally recovered from his injury, and, spoiler, I thought he played okay. Matheson, Dobson, Hudson, Carrier, and Gouli Jackay were on the blue line, so again, Struble is the scratch. The opening lines for the Senators are Sutherland, Stützle, Batherson, Tkachuk, Cousins with a Z. You'll see why in a minute. So Dylan Cousins with Greg, Amadio, Pinto, Giroux, and Nick Cousins, Eller, and Perron. The spelling is different, but they're pronounced the same, so that's going to be very fun for the remainder of the game, isn't it? Sanderson, Zub, Shabbat, Jetson, and Clevin, Spencer on the blue line. Levy, Marilainen gets the start for the Senators, and James Reimer, good old Jim Reimer, backs him up with Linus Ullmark still out dealing with his wife. Before the game, yesterday, Beck and Fowler were both sent back to the AHL. Beck is because Jake Evans, like I mentioned, he's back in the lineup. Jacob Fowler, they're solving the goalie rotation by sending down their starting goaltender to let him get starts in the AHL. So Jacob Fowler, he'll get a chance to start for the remainder of Laval's season, assuming more fans don't end up passing out during the game, which that's a thing that happened, which is very kind of scary. Hopefully the fan ends up being okay. I know there's a medical emergency. I don't know too much of what's going on, but yeah, either way, Jacob Fowler, like I said, he's been sent back down to the AHL. Get him starts. He'll probably be up next year with a Jakub Dobeš trade in the offseason. So like I said, Evans returns to the lineup. Doc and Laine, I believe they said both of them were skating at the practice this morning. So they're probably back very soon. Newhook, I believe, is still out until the beginning of March, I believe they said. So hopefully Doc and Laine come back soon. I imagine that means Veleno and Bolduc are probably out of the lineup in exchange for Doc and Laine, but we shall see. So, to start the game, actually, technically, again, before the game, it's the 30th anniversary of the Canadian Tire Center. They showed highlights on Hockey Day in Canada that the Canadiens were the first game for the Senators in the Canadian Tire Center. Of course, we shut them out. 3-0 Canadiens was the final in that game. Obviously, the Canadiens would hope to replicate that tonight, and by God, they wished. It was kind of cool. They brought Steve Duchesne out, who scored both the first goal in the Canadian Tire Center and the goal that clinched the Senators a playoff spot in, I believe it was the year after, in 97, in a 1-0 win against the Buffalo Sabres, the Ted Nolan coached Buffalo Sabres, so, they weren't too good at that point. Monty has a good save on the screen, and a minute 30 in, Habs go to a power play. Batherson trips up Matheson. Come on. Anybody who watched the game should have known there's going to be something going on there. Habs with some good setup early. Slav in the slot. I do like to see that. Whether it's in front of the net or he's in the slot, I like seeing Slav around the net. He's covered by two men, more so just a good way to take away the pass, and also a man just probably there to screen shots. Demidov has a one-timer that's just wide. Comes out, Canadiens set back up, and we score. Who is it? Well, of course, Juraj Slafkovsky in the slot. He gets found on a good pass by Caufield, who's sort of behind the net. He puts it high over the glove of Marilainen in the net. Canadiens have the 1-0 lead, just 3:06 into the game. He scores from Caufield, and Suzuki, the Habs, 1-for-1 on the power play tonight. Habs with some good passing. Matheson has a look. That's just high. There's a fourth line shift. There's a good fourth line cycle with Evans back in the lineup. Dylan Cousins, that chips at Bolduc. There's no call there, of course. On a rush, the Habs do look for a 2-0 lead. Slav has a backhand sticked away. Kapanen in front can't get a stick on the puck. Nick Cousins throws a hit at Josh Anderson. The game's getting a little bit grindy at this point. It would remain sort of hitty. There wasn't like a huge amount of hits, but there was a lot of, shoulder to shoulder, a couple open ice hits, which we'll talk about. Honestly, if the Canadiens came out and played a full 60 minutes, this probably could have gone down as one of the best games of the season instead of one of the best comebacks merely. Spoiler. Amadio in front has a look that's deflected out. There's a shot block for Slav. That's after a Tkachuk wrap is stopped. Slav was slow to get off the ice. He would remain in the game. It's just one of those. That's going to hurt for a minute. Thankfully, he missed maybe a shift, I think. He did not miss much time at all. Demidov has a good dangle, but the shot is a no-go, though. Habs going to get called for an icing as Anderson tipped the puck in the zone. The refs gather, and we go to center. However, off the draw, Canadiens come in the zone, and they score. Zach Bolduc risks it high, give the Canadiens a 2-0 lead. Evans with the assist on that one with 9 minutes left. Beauty of a shot there, and wait, nope, not a guarantee. Canadiens lead 2-0. Senators are going to challenge for offside, and yeah, the replay shows that Evans coming in was just offside of a bouncing puck. The goal will come back, and yeah, confirmed no goal, unfortunately. So still just a 1-0 Canadiens lead. David Perron boards Carrier. There's no call there. Sends press, but they only get a shot on net as Monty makes that save. Despite the goals that Monty allowed tonight, I thought he played a very good game, especially in that third period. He did a good job holding off the near onslaught that he would have to face in that third period, especially to shut the game down. I thought that Montembeault had a relatively solid night overall tonight. And unfortunately, the stats, spoiler, his stats actually do go down slightly, though. Not much, but just slightly. His stats do go down tonight, but I thought that he still played a good enough game. Habs get a look. Hudson and Slav on a near 2-on-1, but the stick by Shabbat breaks that up. That was a good one there. Texier gets found by Caufield right in front, but just misses the shot. That surely would have made it 2-0. Tkachuk has a chance. Montembeault makes the save. And late, the Habs go to a power play. With 3:30 left, Perron's called for a hold on Jack-Eye along the boards, and yeah, that was clear as day. Sens do clear off a Hudson attempted hold at the line. Marilainen then holds the puck. Habs get a chance. Suzuki finds Caufield, who doesn't like the space. The Sens nearly clear along the boards, but there's a good hold in by Nick. He finds Caufield all alone, just skates it in, and Cole scores. Mr. Saturday Night himself. Cole Caufield gives the Canadiens the 2-0 lead for real this time. He gets it on a real nice shot with 2 minutes and 10 seconds left. He scores from Suzuki and Hudson. Caufield His 23rd of the year, by the way. Spoiler, he would not be done yet. Habs are 2 for 2 on the power play tonight. Greg and Bolduc then get involved at the benches. That's nice. Cousins has a nice hit on... Dylan Cousins has a nice hit on Jake Evans behind the net. And the Senators end up with a power play. With 34 seconds left, Gooley's called for a high stick. That sucks. Off the draw, the Habs clear. Dobson then clears late. That does it. The Senators get about a minute 30 or so of power play time to start the second period. The shots 8-7 for the Senators, but the Canadiens are the team with the 2-0 lead. And we actually get a penalty at the end of the period because Josh Anderson is not done proving that he's completely useless to the Canadiens. He slashes Cousins, who ends up bumping Montembeault over. Anderson's called for the slash, which is understandable. It's a 5-on-3 for a minute 30 to start the second period. In the second period, Matheson has a clear after a scramble in front, and the Senators score. 42 seconds left. 42 seconds in. Yeah, nothing happened until 42 seconds left in the period. No, 42 seconds in. Tkachuk ends up putting it home. It barely gets behind Montembeault. Monty was maybe a few inches away from making that save. Carrier tries to block the shot. It's kind of a broken play. Carrier just can't block it. That really sucks. Either way, it's a 2-1 Canadiens lead still. All you gotta do is just kill off the remainder of the power play, and you do it. I should say that Tkachuk goal is off of a double rebound. By the way, there's a shot, rebound out to center or out to neutral, the shot, another rebound out to Tkachuk, and that's when he puts that one home. I should mention. The Sens do press with the, again, remainder of their next power play. There's an eventual hold by Montembeault. Matheson gets a puck past the stick and just out. Sens bring it right back in, though, basically. Habs, late, Evans has a clear all the way down. Habs are 1 for 2 on the penalty kill tonight. Tkachuk ends up taking down Hudson. There's no call. And naturally, the Senators score almost right after. Stützle ties the game up. Nobody in front. I thought that was on Arbor Jacki. In my opinion, he's behind the net with a Senator when he probably should have been out in front. Because you don't follow a guy behind the net. You stay out in front. If he's coming out the other side, that's when you meet back up with him. I thought that was a bad coverage by Jacki, unfortunately. So Stützle's given very easy access to the net. He goes between the legs up high. He ends up tying the game. Not really much there. Habs do get a chance. Matheson has a shot through traffic. That gets stopped. There's a rebound. It's out to the line. Anderson has it. He wrists it on net, and he scores. Yeah. By the way, Stützle scores at 3:07 from Cousins and Eller. Josh Anderson, though, gives the Canadiens the lead right back. Surprisingly, his 11th of the year. He must be listening to the HabWrap because I think I said he'd finish with, 12 goals? 12 goals at the end of the season. He'd barely get 3 for the rest of the year. I think he's already at 2 since I've said that. But yeah, Anderson at the line. He just throws it on net. It beats Maryland clean. Habs have the 3-2 lead. You love to see it. The hockey gods giving the Canadiens something. 4:26 in, Andy scores from Matheson and the Dobster, Noah Dobson. Kapanen has good effort off of a poke. He gets spun, almost slashes the puck at the net, but just misses it. Doesn't get a center or anything, but just almost slashed at it. That would have been awesome. Even if he didn't score, just to be able to slash that and get it at the net, that would have been cool. Sens do get some hard pressure. There's a group of Canadiens held out for 2 minutes. After Slav ices the puck, there's a couple good sticks for the Canadiens. Off a draw, I believe that's off the icing. Puck goes right to Montembeault. He covers. Very smart to get the clear, to get the change. Andy gets away with interference on a Senator. He ends up knocking the helmet off. I believe that was Nick Jensen. It pops up, lands right in his hands, and just puts it back on. That was pretty fun. Jacki and Tkachuk had a conversation after a play ends. That's after a near scoring chance from behind the net for the Senators. They wouldn't end up dropping the gloves. Tkachuk was too much of a bitch to actually do that, as we know. And the Habs get a power play halfway through the period. Cousins gets called for a a high stick on Dobson. It's kind of weird because Dobson hits Cousins and the stick ends up coming up, so That was a bit weird. The Sens do pressure. They end up getting a clear. Hudson has a giveaway to Giroux, who plays it back in before dumping. It's not really a turnover. It's not really a giveaway by Hudson. It was more a turnover by Giroux. He did a really good job of scouting out Hudson on that play. And like I said, he just plays it back in his own zone before dumping, just killing off time on the power play. Sends clear on an attempted zone entry. Habs' second unit doesn't get anything. There's a Matheson pass right to a Senator, and that gets cleared. Habs are 2 for 3 on the power play tonight. And then they go right back to the power play as Nick Cousins wanted to fight Carrier, who ends up losing his helmet, while the Sens looked for a tie goal that's wide of the net. Cousins grabs onto Carrier, drops his gloves, doesn't throw any punches, but just grabs onto him, ends up losing his Carrier's helmet. And yeah, Carrier didn't want to fight. He was just pushing around because the Cousins is in front of the net. Cousins is off 2 for roughing, so a very, no pun intended, rough couple of minutes for Nick Cousins there. Zub ends up clearing on a wrap around the boards. Stützle dives on a trip during a near 2-on-1 for the Senators, and Demidov gets called. The Habs go 2 for 4 on the power play tonight, and a complete bullshit call on Ivan Demidov there. So we'll go 4-on-4 for a minute 5 before an abbreviated Senators power play. The Habs can't clear the zone during the 4-on-4. Sens get a look. There's a save. Amadio gets tripped by a teammate into Montembeault. Amadio's tripped by a teammate into Montembeault before the Habs ice a puck. That literally like 2 seconds before they iced it. That was weird. Carrier has a good stick check on Stützle with a near break, and here we go. Tkachuk takes a whack at Montembeault after he clearly stops a puck, and Danault gives him a nice shot. That was awesome. They end up getting together. The refs are in there, and of course, naturally, because he's a little bitch, Tkachuk, this is where he gives Danault another cheap shot. They're both off 2 for, I believe it's 2 for roughing, I'm pretty sure. Danault, that's probably the best 2-minute penalty he'll serve. Not the best. It's probably the one he'll regret the least, you should say. Matheson in front of the net doesn't give Monty a chance to see a puck. He makes no attempt to clear Drake Batherson, who's right in front, and the Senators tie the game up again. Big whoop. Dylan Cousins scores his 14th of the year. I believe they said that Dylan Cousins leads the Senators with power play goals. I believe they said he has 8 on the year. So Dylan Cousins, after the trade with from the Sabres, he's looking not too bad. I'm sure Senators fans are very happy they got rid of Josh Norris because he is very injury prone. So Cousins ties the game. He scores from Stützle and Sanderson with 4.5 left. The Canadiens, unfortunately, just 1 for 3 on the penalty kill tonight. Habs were not confident. Despite the Anderson goal, after that point, it was all Senators. I think they had gone about 8 minutes without a shot, if it was that low. After that Anderson shot, after the Anderson goal, they might not have had another shot for the rest of the period, if I remember correctly. Just the Senators were beating them to pucks. They were more than doubling the Canadiens in shots with 4 minutes left. Not just in the period, in the entire game. The shots in the period with 4 minutes left were 12-2 for the Senators, which, yeah. So safe to say, Montembeault has had to be quite good. And unfortunately, the team is very much letting him down. Anyone who's blaming Montembeault after this game is a complete moron, by the way. Very surprised if anyone would be, but if anyone is, I'd be very surprised. Bolduc gets a look after some sloppy play, but there's a save made. That's the Canadiens' first shot in, it has to be 9 minutes at least. Slav ends up getting on a break. There's a clear slash, gets on a break. A clear slash by Chabot. There's no call because why would there be? It's a penalty on a Canadian. You don't call those. The Sens go back the other way and they score because, of course, why wouldn't they? There's a shot saved by Montembeault, but the rebound is off David Perron and into the back of the net. The Senators take the lead late. Perron with just his 10th of the year. He's probably done after this year. He scores from Zub and Sanderson. So Jake Sanderson, of course, the secondary assist merchant, as we know him as, with 3 on the night. He's actually not too bad for once in his career. So it's a 4-3 lead for the Senators. Anderson has an easy shot into Marilyn's chest. The game was over, I said at this point. The shots are 22-10 for the Senators, and they have a 4-3 lead after the second period. I guess Sanderson just wanted to make sure the Canadiens had double-digit shots going into said third period, where Kapanen gets tripped by Senator early. Of course, there's no call. Slav has a good check along the boards. Gallagher then hits Jensen in the numbers. Surprisingly, no call there. Between the two teams, no shots in the first 4 minutes. Genuinely a very boring third period up until the final 5 minutes. Yeah, we'll talk about it, but a lot of just slow hockey. Habs do get the first shot. Caufield nearly puts one home in a good look. On the wrap, Caufield just loses the puck before he gets the shot off. There's a little bit of zone time for the Canadiens. Slav's line looked to tie it up. Hudson's pass to Demidov. He just can't get off the one-timer. The Sens do eventually ask the puck, and they would get a power play. Either surprisingly or not so surprisingly, the Canadiens cycle. Gallagher's helmet ends up being ripped off by Thomas Chabot. He's off 2 for roughing. He wonders what his call is, so not only is Thomas Chabot an Ottawa Senator, but he's also kind of fucking dumb. There's a good shot in the slot. The Sens get a clear. The Habs power play sucks. Sens clear all they want, basically. Habs are 2 for 5 on the power play. Dobson has a shot off a leg, and right out of the box, it's a 4-on-1. I'm considering it a 4-on-1. That was not a 4-on-2. Back the other way, and they end up scoring. Jake Sanderson gets the puck. He scores. He makes it 5-3 Senators. Fire Marty time is what I said in my notes. This is where I was going to go on the rant. Zero adjustment, zero passion. This team looks dead with 12 minutes to go. And I'm already preparing what I'm going to say about Marty. Let's talk about the rest of the game. Anderson has a hard hit in the corner. Matheson with a nice open ice hit at center on Amadio. That was genuinely solid. Canadiens get hemmed in. Jack-Eye has a few good hits, but the Sens press. Eventually a puck deflects out of play. Jack-Eye did not get much ice time at all tonight. He got only 7.5 minutes, which a little bit surprising. Yeah, here's the thing. He wasn't even that bad. Aside from the play, which is part of the Stützle goal, where he's behind the net, probably should have been in front. Aside from that, I thought he was okay. I mean, I don't know if it's because he had limited ice time, and so he didn't have the ice time to potentially make more mistakes or potentially play better, but I thought he was okay. I don't get why Marty is so hesitant to play Arbor and give him more ice time so he can learn to be a better NHL player. This is part of the thing that I don't like about Marty, is that if he sticks with, is that he's stuck with Jack-Eye. With Jack-Eye, he's stuck in the mindset of, okay, this guy's still not competent enough. He's a 6D. You play him 8 minutes a night. There's been twice, I think, that Marty has said, all right, Arbor, you're playing good. Get more ice time. Or, hey, look, we're getting blown out 7-1. Arbor, you're going to get 8 minutes in the third. Show us what you can do, Show us if you can help the team at all. If we don't allow a goal or whatever, just I don't get why Marty seems to have a big time hate boner for Arbor Jack-Eye. But hey, you know what? I mean, whatever. Marty makes yeah, Marty just went in net. He grabbed Monty, pulled him out. He just took the mask. He went in no equipment or anything. No, Monty makes a few saves. The Senators were teeing off on him with 8:30 left. It was all Ottawa. Sends the ice a puck twice. Habs had one shot in the period with 6:30 left. An absolutely pathetic excuse of a third period. And hey, oh, look at that. The Canadiens get, I believe, another shot, or it's a shot block, either or. And back the other way. Slav goes wide. I answered my own question in my notes. Pinto gets on a break. Monty makes the save. The rebound, sprawling, and another save for Samuel Montembeault. That ends up being absolutely huge for the Montreal Canadiens. Amadio in a rush. Easy shot gloved by Monty. That's during a almost was a 2-on-1. Kachuk's at the end of a shift. That's why he passes off to Amadio just in the zone. Amadio's looking. He just elects for the shot, and that gets held. Evans gets knocked off a puck. Sens end up icing it with 4:40 left. The game at this point, like I said, is slowed to a crawl. Compared to usual, I did not have many notes at all in this third period. We're already within the final 5, and it felt like I started these notes like a minute and a half ago for the third period. And Monty is pulled. I literally put in my notes, Monty pulled before the draw. What the fuck? Usually I'm fine with pulling the goalie down by 2, especially down by 2 with like 4 minutes left. Because either you score and, okay, well, we're down by 1, now you don't pull the goalie. Or, okay, well, they scored, we're down by 3. There's really not much of a difference between being down by 2 and being down by 3. But in a game like this, where you have one shot in the third period, I was questioning Marty's choice a little bit. Seemed a little bit desperate. There's a Suzuki shot gloved. That is just the second shot of the third period. Off the next draw, Danault wins it, and he gets back to Hudson, takes a shot, and we score! Juraj Slafkovsky, his 19th goal of the season. Montreal takes, applying a little bit of pressure. They're only down by 1. That's good. With 4 minutes left, Slafkovsky scores from Hudson and Danault a really nice tip in the slot. And it's a 1-goal deficit. The Canadiens, off the draw, they seem to have a little bit more of a step in, pace in their step, but it's probably going to be a little bit too little too late. There's a bit of a sort of a dump in. Anderson ends up getting the puck, makes its way around. It's at the blue line. Carrier at the line. He holds one. He slaps at it, and the game is tied. Alex Carrier. That is right. Alexander Carrier puts the puck in the back of the net. Alex Carrier puts the biscuit in the basket. Alexander Carrier scores his 4th goal of the year from Demidov and Josh Anderson. And all of a sudden, in a minute 5 seconds, this game goes from 5-3 Ottawa to 5-5. We are tied. The Senators call their timeout after the goal. Very smart move by Ottawa, legitimately. But the Canadiens just... Levi Meralainen, dude, holy shit. They showed a girl in the crowd, I think it was entering overtime. A girl had a sign literally reading, "Put in Reimer." And genuinely, for James, what would have been, I'm pretty sure, James Reimer's first game back in a year, I'm 99% sure this game is probably ending 5-2 Ottawa. There were 3 goals on net that Levi Meralainen should have stopped. Surely at least the Josh Anderson goal. Realistically, that Carrier goal he should have stopped. And maybe even the Cole Caufield goal. I'd say there's at least 2 goals that Meralainen needed to save for Ottawa. But yeah, so Sens with horrible goaltending, which, I mean, when do they have good goaltending? Not since the days of the Hamburglar. So yeah, the Sens call their timeout. The Sens into pushing. Monty makes another great save in the final minutes. Sens nearly got the lead back. Canadiens end up going offside. Evans touches the puck, and that'll come all the way back because the refs claim that he knew it was offside. The Habs just needed 1 point at this point, by the way. Yeah, so they just need to force overtime. There's a puck battle along the boards. It's won by Suzuki. Oh, by the way, yeah, the Canadiens end up getting it back on a dump-in. The puck battle along the boards. 1 out to Suzuki, who gets a look, and a fantastic save for Levi Meralainen. A huge stop, easily his best to keep the game tied with 6 seconds left. The Canadiens almost completely stole the 2 points away from Ottawa. However, somehow, someway, against all odds, this game is tied 5-5 headed into overtime. The shots, get this, 34-16 for the Ottawa Senators. The Ottawa Senators doubling the Canadiens in shots. How does this game end 2 seconds into overtime? Well, off the draw, Hudson ends up getting the puck. There's a nice look. Meralainen makes a save. The rebound ends up going off the side of the net. Hudson almost finished it early. Sens end up sending it up the other way, and oh shit. Claude Giroux is in on a break. It's a 2-on-1. He passes it across. The shot taken. Wait, no! Fanned on it. some way, somehow, everything is coming up Canadiens right now. Back the other way, the Canadiens get a 2-on-1. I believe it was Hudson sends it for Caufield and Suzuki. Caufield, not even looking at Zooks, winds up, takes the slapper, and that one gets saved. Wait, no, it squeaks by Marilainen. The Canadiens get the win in overtime. Cole Caufield scores his 24th of the year, and that is his 12th career overtime game-winning goal for the Montreal Canadiens. Second of the night, Caufield scores from Hudson. By the way, all of this happens in 33 seconds. Cole Caufield ends this game in overtime. They don't call him Goal Clutchfield for nothing. Cole Caufield ends it in overtime, completing the comeback. An absolute choker, the Ottawa Senators are. Up 5-3 with 5 minutes left. They allow 2 goals, and they lose it as quick as they had the lead in overtime. Absolutely pathetic what the Ottawa Senators are. Just an absolute joke of a franchise. To have, firstly, to employ a goaltender like Levi Marilainen, who, firstly, I don't even know what the hell happened to this guy, because he, if I remember correctly, looked really good in the preseason. And yeah, he looked fantastic last year as well. He had 12 games, an 8-3-1 record, 1.99 goals against average, and a .925 save percentage. Played phenomenal. Played great. And this year now, in 20 games, 8 wins still, 10 losses, a 3.51 goals against average, and an .860 save percentage. What the hell happened to this guy? What in the hell is wrong with Levi Marilainen now? I get Linus Ullmark being bad because it's Linus Ullmark. But what in the ever-loving hell is Marilainen doing being this garbage? My God. Yeah, the Montreal Canadiens get the win in overtime, 6-5. The final shots, 34-19 for the Senators. The shots in overtime were, of course, 3-0 Montreal. So naturally, the Senators out shooting the Canadiens by more than double for a good portion of the game, at least 2 periods. Montreal dominates the shots in overtime. Why wouldn't they? So yeah, the Canadiens absolutely pull one out of their ass and get a win in a game that, quite frankly, we didn't deserve 2 points in, let alone 1. We deserved to get blown out 7-0, 7-1. Yeah, 7-1, because that shows at least we had an effort enough to score 1 goal. We deserved to lose this game. But Ottawa is so much of a goddamn clown show that we can't even lose properly. We tried to lose a game, and Ottawa just says, yeah, no, you guys have it. You guys want to be top 3 in the division? We'll take a top 5 draft pick and waste another prospect. We'll pick Tyler Boucher again, you know? Even though he's like 24, he'll re-enter the draft, we'll select him again. You know? Like, just an absolute joke the Ottawa Senators are as a franchise. Just, the Canadiens continue to absolutely dominate their little brother in the hockey world. Well, other little brother, aside from Toronto. Other little brother, Toronto, Boston, and Ottawa. Other little brother, Toronto, Boston, and Buffalo. And then Ottawa. So we dominate 4 little brothers. We could probably face them all at the same time, and the Canadiens would still win. Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened in this game, but somehow the Habs pulled out a victory. God damn it, of course I'm happy. I was fully expecting to rant about Marty St. Louis after this game, but alas, the Habs still won. Yeah, with this win now, it actually ends up being pretty big for the Canadiens, at least in the points race, because a game where if they come in and lose in regulation, They're only up 3 points on the wildcard teams. They come into tonight, win, and they're now up by 5 because Boston wins, Toronto wins, Buffalo loses in overtime, so they at least get a point. The Canadiens needed a little bit of ground, and they would end up getting it. They end up getting the full 2 points, now just 1 point back of a 3-way tie in the Atlantic Division. That's right. And only 3 points back of being first in the Metropolitan Division as well. Of course, the only problem with first in the Atlantic, the Lightning have 3 games in hand on both Detroit and Montreal. So, fingers crossed they start losing very soon. So yeah, that does it for the actual game. Just nutty. The Canadiens had such a pathetic performance for 40 minutes. And then they just come back in the last 5, say, hey, wait, we're good. We're supposed to be the playoff team. And everybody says, oh yeah, we are. And then we just win. Almost like this game should have been an 8-0 Canadiens win the whole time. Especially with fucking Levi Merrillainen in net. But just, either way, again, Montreal gets the win. Absolutely love it. And, yeah, we got the win. Let's get into the stats, and let's get on out of here. Of course, Nick Suzuki leads the Montreal Canadiens. He has 15 goals and 39 assists on the year for 54 points. He has been very good points-wise this season. Not too good defensively, but you know what? Hey, I think Canadiens fans will gladly take 100-point Nick Suzuki, especially if he comes out of the All-Star break the way he did last year at the Four Nations, or the Olympic break this year. The way he came out of the Four Nations last year and dominates, we're going to see 100-point Zooks again. Suzuki, by the way, as well, with 4 points in his last 2 games. Lane Hudson with 8 goals, 42 assists for 50 points. He has 5 assists in his last 2 games. Cole Caufield with the 24 goals and also 24 assists for 48 points this year. He has 12 career overtime goals, including 4 this year. He also has 5 points in his last 2 games. Very solid. Ivan Demidov with 11 goals, 30 assists for 41 points. Again, nobody is even in consideration for the Calder aside from him right now. He's been fantastic throughout most of the year. Juraj Slafkovsky with 19 goals, 21 assists for 40 points. Noah Dobson, 9 goals, 22 assists for 31 points. Oliver Kapanen, 16 goals, 11 assists for 27 points. Mike Matheson, 5 goals and 17 assists for 22 points. Zach Bolduc still with 10 goals, 8 assists for 18 points. Josh Anderson, 11 goals and 5 assists for 16 points. He quietly has 3 goals in his last 4 games. Good for you, Josh Anderson. Alex Texier with 7 goals and 9 assists for 16 points. Brendan Gallagher and Alex Carrier both have 4 goals and 11 assists for 15 points this year. Alex Newhook, who is unfortunately still hurt with 6 goals, 6 assists for 12 points. Jake Evans, who is not hurt anymore. Again, he was in the lineup tonight. 5 goals, 5 assists for 10 points. And Kirby Dach, who is unfortunately still hurt. 5 goals, 2 assists for 7 points. Jaden Struble, again, healthy scratch right now. He has 6 assists. Sammy Blais, who is very bafflingly the healthy scratch instead of Joe Veleno tonight. He has 2 goals and 3 assists for 5 points. Phil Deneau with 5 assists in his return to the Canadiens. Joe Veleno has 2 goals and 2 assists for 4 points this year. He is also on a 5-game pointless drought. Caden Gooley and Arbor Jaggi each have a goal and an assist for 2 points. Arbor Jaggi also rocking an 18-game pointless drought. Shout out. Owen Beck, who was sent back down to Laval. He has a goal in the NHL, and again, I guess I technically mentioned it still. He's on a 7-game pointless drought. I guess I mentioned it. Patrick Laine, who is unfortunately still hurt. Florian Jacki and Jared Davidson all have an assist this year. Meanwhile, Arbor Jacki, he also leads the Canadiens. He leads the Canadiens with a pointless drought, but he also leads the Canadiens in fights with a grand total of 7. Josh Anderson and Jaden Struble each with a pair of fights. Joe Veleno, Caden Gooley, and Florian Jacki each with a singular fight this year so far. As for the goaltenders, Jakub Dobesh, he leads the Canadiens with a 14-5-3 record, a 3.01 goals against average, and an .888 save percentage. And Samuel Montembeault with a 9-6-2 record. He's really improved that record since coming back, thankfully. A 3.44 goals against average and an .873 save percentage on the year. And Jacob Fowler, who again is back in the AHL. This is going to be so weird to say, but Jacob Fowler again back in the AHL, a 4-4-2 record, a 2.62 goals against average, and a .902 save percentage, along with the lone shutout for the Canadiens so far this season. Yeah, that is going to do it for this episode of the HabWrap. Thank you all so much for watching. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you are on YouTube. Hit the follow button if you're on Spotify or Amazon, wherever else you might be listening to the podcast on. And don't forget to share as well. Please and thank you. Share with anybody who you think might enjoy the podcast, such as a fellow Montreal Canadiens fan, a hockey fan who's maybe looking for a Canadiens podcast, or someone who you think might enjoy listening to some fat kid from Quebec talk about the Montreal Canadiens for 30 minutes after every game. That is going to do it for this episode of the HabWrap again. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, my name is Harry Rice, and always remember, no matter how good we are like this year, how great we are in the future, go Habs go, Anna Montreal, and say it with me, everybody, C'est la boo!